This is just a reminder that I called for the final Aliyah weeks ago now. I believe I called for it 2 weeks before Bondi even happened. How many more events will happen because no one's listening? At some point, you become complicit and start taking blame upon yourself by blocking me, by not sharing my message. I come in the name of God of hosts. That your own hubris prevents you from sharing my message is mind-boggling. That takes a lot. I called for the final Aliyah. You don't want to do it? Okay. That's on you. Do you know what the punishment is? You don't get to come. You are stuck outside of the land, and all of your descendants for, what was it, 220 years? Yeah, 220 years. I'll have to look back at my early videos from almost a year ago now. Yeah. Y'all made fun of me and just thought I was some quack because I was smoking weed. I'm sorry, how did that disqualify me in the slightest? I've got 3 medical conditions that qualify for medical marijuana. I was also dealing with the death of my ex, who both her and her mom died in a fire. It fucked me up in the head pretty hard. And that happened six months before I was even anointed, 8 months before I got the first download of information that started telling me to do anything. I'm sorry, how does weed disqualify me? How does anything that happened prior to my anointing disqualify me, if God himself chose me? You are a stiff-necked people. I understand why God would destroy you if he were to walk amongst you. I get it. But the welcome that you have given me, sorry, the complete lack of welcome you've given me, in fact, you mock, block, and attack me, but as often as you can. It's allowed me to see the poisons that are rampant in Israel and in exile. The entire rabbinic system is going to collapse once I come forward. Nothing you do is sanctioned other than teaching. And you're only supposed to be teaching Torah, not interpretations. You're supposed to be teaching people how to read it and interpret it for themselves. It's in your mouth and it's in your heart. It's not too far. How fucking hard is that? Keep it up. Keep it up. Find yourself on the wrong side of this. I've already said who I come in the name of. His holy name is within me. Even if you kill me, he still wins. I've seen how that plays out. I don't even care. There's safeguards this time. I've seen how this plays out. There's a couple different ways. One way or another, that day will be his. You get to choose whether you participate in that day or not. That's the only say you have. There is nothing you can do to stop him. This unholy corpse worshipping that you do with your Rebbe's? Forbidden by Torah. The talking to the dead thing? Forbidden by Torah. Adding and subtracting? Forbidden by Torah. There should be a big label on the front of the Torah that says, how fucking hard is this? This was idiot-proofed for you. And you managed to fuck it up. How? Absolute hubris. The lazy shepherds in Ezekiel, was it 35, 34, 2 through 10? Yeah, that's the only place rabbis are ever mentioned in Tanakh. All of Tanakh. They can go back to being teachers. Or they can persist. God gave you freedom of choice. But we're reaching the end of this era. You're going to want to choose wisely. You don't get a say in how this plays out. You only get a say in how it plays out for you. At the end of this, there's the finish line. There's a couple routes to it. But what's at that finish line is God, not your hubris. Okay? You don't get a say in the ending. You only get the decisions between now and then. One way or another or another. His eternal temple is coming. You're welcome to build Zeke's temple. I don't care. I'd kind of like to see it personally. I think it'd be kind of pretty. I mean, the eternal temple needs an entryway. Why not Zeke's temple? At the center of the eternal temple is the fountain of truth, which is the structure built around the Holy of Holies. I've described that in my early videos from almost a year ago. I started describing that in, gosh, what was it, the 25th of February? I got the big download on the 18th of February. I started making videos on the 25th of February. I started describing it pretty quick after it all just flooded into my head that night. But I've locked those up because y'all can't look past the weed. I should have looked and seen how much sobriety I have already. It's over 90 days now. I stopped just before Yom Kippur. Not because my conditions have magically improved, but because I wanted to get past the judges. Sorry, rabbis. There are no sanctioned judges right now because there's no Sanhedrin, because there's no temple. But the rabbis view themselves as judges. They think they actually have authority, which is hilarious. Which is just absolute hubris that they think they have any authority in the slightest. They're just the lazy fat shepherds, providing nothing for the flock. That's all they are. They just fill their pockets. Those of you who are rich, they give a lot of attention to, so you leave a lot of money with them after they die, or after you die. Because why feed the homeless? Why help the poor when you can throw it all at your rabbi in your synagogue? You know? It is what it is, folks. Nothing changes what's coming. The only say you have is whether you get to partake. I don't know exactly when all this goes down. He doesn't let me see that, and it's absolutely maddening. I just get a flood of images, and I have to slowly put them in order as I understand. As I read through the Tanakh, I slowly painfully, slowly get context, and I can start to put things in order. Do you know how freaking confused I was in the early days? I thought I had to sacrifice my dogs because there was an image of them on the steps of, not the steps, the top of the steps, like the platform of the top of the steps. There's an image of them walking towards me. When I say image, it's like a 1 second image of, okay, little movie, like a 1 second video, and I have to put all of these together in order. And there was one of them walking towards me. My poor hound, my beautiful, beautiful poor hound, ends up looking like a freaking rat. He already kind of has the body shape, but he ends up looking kind of like a rat, just hairless on his back. And it's already starting on his tail, and it's kind of moving its way forward. And my Rexy here, my lab, goes blind. It's already started, and he ends up, in order to navigate, ends up having to like jam his nose up the hound's like rear just to follow the scent of something. It was weird. But I thought that because I saw them on the temple steps that they had to be sacrificed. No, they're just dogs. The only weird thing with my dogs is because of the trauma I went through with my son and his mom, I ended up in this weird state where I love my dogs more than my son, which is an absolute abomination. It never should have been allowed to happen, but I had to put walls up to keep from hurting, you know? Sometimes people are so evil and they use kids to cause pain that, you know, you gotta put walls up. And then I had all this emotion that I wanted to put towards something, and I put it towards my dogs, and I absolutely adore these dogs. I don't need to sacrifice my dogs. That's been made clear to me. My poor hound. He fell over yesterday and started convulsing. He's a good boy. He's just over here peacefully sleeping. There's my Rexy. There's my hound. Sorry, I keep making eye contact with myself and then looking up at this little tiny, slightly not black dot where the camera is. And I don't really know. It feels more natural to make eye contact, even with myself, than it does to look at this almost invisible black dot. Just put a red light next to it so I have something to look at instead of searching for this almost invisible black dot. Yeah. Go to my posts section. Look through the directory. I'm trying to idiot-proof this by just throwing everything in there. But some of this stuff is so far down in my post section, and I'm stuck doing this entirely on mobile. Some of it's too far down and too repetitive to scroll too far down on mobile. It just takes too long, and I can't add it to the directory. You're going to have to find it for yourself. I've left a lot of my mistakes in place in not just the directory, but on the post page itself. My only voice right now is YouTube, and I'm not rich enough to fight the algorithm by paying for views. I just threw another $50 on there. I got paid by the VA. I just threw another $50 on there to try and advertise one of my videos to help people find the directory so they can start seeing this for themselves. It does look like Israel blocked me from advertising within their country. Yeah, every single stone placed in my path. And this is like one of the later books in the Ender's Game series. The one where his companions from the school are like fighting a resistance here on Earth. It's a reference to the events in India where people were dropping single pebbles on the road, and it was every little pebble added up to an obstacle eventually, because it just made things where the vehicles couldn't. Just read the books; they're worth it. But every single pebble, every single hand that placed a pebble in my path gets cursed when I get to Mount Ball. And cursed objects are not allowed within the temple. You can do your own math on that one. I'm not fucking around. I will be visiting both Mount Ball and Mount Gerizim. You're going to want to at least start to Teshuvah in order to partake of the blessings. Why am I saying this? I already did a post about this. I'm not saying anything new in this entire video. This has all been said before. It's just your pure hubris that keeps you from seeing it. Some sage that never had authority said some stuff, and these laws suddenly magically exist from someone who never had authority to make laws, by the way. And you're looking at me through that lens, and that's a mistake. God is pretty explicit when he said there are things that are for him alone to know. So the response is to make laws regarding the things that were for God alone. You see what I mean? Hubris. Just pure fucking hubris. Oh, and if you think swearing magically makes me not the dude you've been praying and waiting for, go read Ezekiel. He has a bit to say about equine qualities. Again, it's in my post section. I put that quote up there a couple times. I think it's hilarious. It's one of the most graphic things in all of Tanakh. Don't get caught on the wrong side of what's coming, because there's nothing you can do to stop it. And to the rabbi who tried to call Ephraim Pelvanov a heretic, yeah, you crossed a line. You got no share in what's coming. Not in this life, at least. You're going to get kicked out of Israel when I come. That goes both for the channel owner and the one and the goat-looking rabbi who said it. You've got no share in this life. You crossed a line trying to do that to the teacher who's helped me more than any other rabbi. You take too much upon yourself that was never granted by God anywhere in Tanakh. You misinterpret things to give yourself legitimacy, when the only place you should be looking at is the lazy fat shepherds in Ezekiel. That's the only place you're mentioned. You serve only yourself. Do you know how I know that? Because none of you have lifted a hand to help the fricking Messiah. Sorry, the Mashiach. All these weird words. I never heard Mashiach prior to March of this year. Never heard it. Not once. And the person who taught me that phrase, I've shared more with her than a lot of people, and even she just makes fun of me for the weed, because somehow people think that magically delegitimizes me. I really should have seen how many days I have of sobriety. That would have been nice to show. 3 months, at least. Yeah. But I've got like 130 some odd videos, I think, all hidden until January 4th of 2027. Because y'all have so much hubris you can't look past your own judgments. You just judge, 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 judge. Meanwhile, there's no temple, no Sanhedrin, and no judges. There is probably no one qualified alive today to even judge whether I'm the real thing. Why? Because y'all lost your land, you lost your temple, you lost your Sanhedrin. And apparently you've got no desire to get any of that back. You just want to stay in exile for some reason. I don't know why. I would already be in Israel if I could, but I've got 11 and a half months left on probation because I did some unholy shit back in 2014. And I've got to live with that. And that's part of why I crave redemption so much. Because I've got some pretty severe regrets. A little pop-up from Rabbi David Vigular. Apparently he just had a video come out. Yeah. I have no idea what the video is about. I can't even look without pausing the video. But yeah, a little pop-up happened. I don't even know why I'm mentioning it.
This is my Rexy. He's a good boy. And this is my hound. He's a good boy too.
But yeah, I've got 130 hidden videos. I've got over 100 documents on my Discord. Anyone can grab them. Only one person, sorry, 2 people have even bothered. And one of them left my Discord without a word. That actually kind of sucked. But he was too busy focusing on his own channel rather than trying to help me. Probably took the role of judge upon himself and saw something he didn't like. I'm a human. I'm going to make mistakes. Or maybe I'm even going to say things that aren't taught yet. You know? But people let their hubris rule. I like that word, hubris. It just describes just a massive quantity of people. People who think they're right without bothering to validate whether they're right. They're just like, this is my opinion. That makes it Holy Scripture. No, that's not how it works. It's never been how it works. That's just a teaching of rabbis, where opinions somehow magically overrule the Word of God. And they just add and subtract and add and subtract, despite being explicitly forbidden from doing so. Shabbat is supposed to be a joy. We're going to redo Shabbat from the ground up. None of this OCD nerve-wrackingness that you guys have somehow thought is okay. We're going to do it from the ground up, and it's going to be a festival. It's going to be awesome. You know, the way it was supposed to be. It's not going to be this painful OCD fest that you guys seem to just revel in the misery of. How did you ever get here? Oh wait, the rabbis. That's right, the rabbis. Yeah. They were a lovely glue to hold people together during exile, but exile's over. Get the fuck home. what was Bondi 2 weeks ago, and I called for the end of exile 2 weeks before that, and I gave months of heads up that I was going to be doing it. Eventually, once I figured out who I was and became competent. But no one was listening or waiting for that info because you're just a bunch of judgy McJudge faces, you know? You think your opinion equates truth, and it doesn't. It never has. We're going back to my favorite word, hubris. Is it the kingdom of Jews or the kingdom of hubris? You decide. One way or another, that day will be his. You only get to decide if you partake. That's just how it is. That you even think you have a say is freaking mind-boggling. Larky loves you. Bye.